Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Rocksmith Developer Stream. Sorry, this week's edition of the Rocksmith Developer Stream. This is not a daily show. I do not have time for that, but I'm glad you're here for this week because I do have time for a weekly show. Very glad to be here with you all in my dining area. So if this is the first time, is this your first time here at the Rocksmith Stream? If that's the case, well, you're in for a treat. What we like to do, we like to talk about music. For a good portion of the stream. We also have guests from the community perform songs. Today we have none other than Derpferdler, which we'll talk about more later on. We've got some giveaways that we're going to have later on in the stream as well. And right now, I would like to introduce our guests for today. Today we have coming at you from the San Francisco area, the Bay Area, Dan Emmerich. Who is known as it looks like the Rocksmith Team Scoundrel. Is that right? Team Scoundrel? Is that your promotion from assistant to...
From assistant scoundrel to team scoundrel.
Assistant.
Yeah.
And to your right, Akshay Balakrishnan, an engineer here in Ubisoft San Francisco.
Hi.
Welcome,
Hello.
Both of you.
I'm once again asking you to pay attention to my opinion.
Wonderful. I'll do that. Well, speaking of opinions, this is all about opinions today. Today, we're going to talk about some of our favorite albums. I asked Dan and Akshay here to consider their top 5 albums. And I left that pretty broad. That could be based on, I didn't give any sort of metrics. I didn't give any indication of what that means, leaving it up to them, whether that's your favorite 5 of all time or whether that's your favorite 5 right now. In the chat, maybe think about your top 5 albums right now if you listen to music in album form. That's something we can talk about later. So welcome aboard, both of you.
Did you see the social call-outs magically appear in the corner? That was amazing.
That's
web stream magic that totally wasn't me realizing, damn it, we don't have the social call-outs. So once again,
you're wearing several hats today.
Yeah, for people that don't know, I'm actually trying to run the stream, and I'm not usually a guest on the stream, so I have to do some extra futzing, I believe is the official term. So you may anything that goes wrong, you can blame me. It is my fault.
My job is just asking questions. It's super easy. I love it. So and in the chat, if you're thinking about your top 5 albums, maybe you'll have questions about some of our picks or some of our guests' picks today, or if you want to throw in some commentary, make sure you hit up UB Jurassic. That is Brian Turner. He is our community manager over in North Carolina. He'll get any questions that you might have for us to me so that I can ask our guests today, as well as handling the raffles when they arrive. No raffle just yet. I'm going to keep saying the word raffle.
Can't just use the raffle
word. Those will come later. So let's talk about music. So today it's mostly music appreciation. I guess the reason why I picked this topic is so that we could just have a conversation about music and kind of about the language of music and what draws you to what you're drawn to. Let's talk to Dan first. What sort of personal limitations did you put on your selection of your top 5 favorite albums?
So I did think about it in terms of all time. I thought about it in terms of albums that I repeatedly go back to and listen to as a unit. Back to front to back. Maybe I don't love every single song on these albums, but they hold together as a unit, and I think of them more as a full experience than just a collection of songs. I intentionally left out any greatest hits collections. I will say that there are some greatest hits albums that do ultimately wind up working as an album. There's got to be a word for the thing when your brain plays the beginning of the next track when the previous track is finishing when you're listening to an album.
Yes.
I have that with all of the items on my collection.
I don't have a name for that, but I definitely have that situation.
Yeah.
It probably there's like any of the music ads, like the compilation album ads from the 80s and 90s.
KTEL Records presents Full Tilt.
Like the top hits of the 90s or whatever. I just made that up. I will still expect the next song from the commercial to follow like the little chunk of music that it plays for me.
You get a 5-second preview of a song and then a 5-second preview of another song, and you're like, well, they just go together now. I
I just
can't.
go, yeah. Same with Weird Al polkas. I will
Oh.
string, yeah,
Yeah,
which
all
I'm
right.
sure you're familiar with, especially the songs that I know better from the polkas than from their
Those are
originals.
good.
I can't be alone in this.
No,
So
you're not.
I interrupted you big time.
No, that was it. But that's how I approached it.
Yeah.
And it was still very difficult to come up with 5. You had suggested it could be all time or it could be top 5 right now. But I
Yeah.
felt like it was easier for me to discuss all time because I know why I return to those albums.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And
To
Akshay,
segue
what
into my
was?
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll grab onto that and go. Yeah, no, it was the same. It was, oh man, what a question to like suddenly see on a Tuesday afternoon. You're like, what? Oh man, I can't think about this right now. It was pretty difficult to think about, but ultimately it was like I went with all time because it was easier to think of the albums that I still think of. Like
Right.
even after all that time has passed, like that's more important to me. And yeah, just like with Dan, what he said, like some of these I don't love every single one, every single song in there, but like
Yeah.
but there's enough there, and it's also then in those cases it's more about the impact that the songs that I did like on that album had on me at the time, and like
Okay.
there are some more recent ones in there though as well.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start hearing them. Dan, what album would you like to talk about first?
I'm going to go with the artist that everybody expects me to say, which is Fountains of
Mhm.
Wayne, the power pop
Ooh.
group out of New Jersey. Their album that Stacy's mom is on is called Welcome Interstate Managers. And I have to admit, I was into Fountains before that, but that's the album that really crystallized, like, these guys should be on my radar. I had a friend who introduced me to Fountains' first album, which is just self-titled. It's someone with Red Dragon tattoo on it, and had their quirky sort of little stories and character studies. Every song by Fountains of Wayne is like tells a little story, and that really appeals
Yeah.
to me. And just the breadth of stories and the breadth of what encompasses power pop on Welcome Interstate Managers. Yes, Stacy's mom is very much sort of like that. Almost Cars-like late 70s, early 80s pop rock thing, but there's some 60s influences in there. There's some country influences in there. It's just the album that made me fall in love with the band was that, and Fountains have become a very big influence on me as a writer too. So again, if I just want to be happy, and I can do that with a lot of Fountains albums. I'm also really, really fond of Traffic and Weather, which I think is a terribly underrated. Yeah, great. It's a great album, and there's some really funny lyrics on there, really clever, super clever lyrics. The title track is worth hearing alone because it's basically like, hey girl, track between two people on a news team.
Two newscasters.
Right.
Yeah, two newscasters. So it's just, again, they create little scenes, little dramas, little places, and they play out over the course of the song. And everything on Welcome Interstate Managers. There was also a song on there called Bright Future in Sales, which hit me at a time in my life when I was doing advertorial. I had just come out of like the official media, and I saw myself as a semi-journalist. And to go and write people's sales catalogs really bothered me. I felt like I was selling out. And Bright Future in Sales is like this little thing about a guy who's got to, he's got to stop screwing up so that he can do good, in his sales job. And he's not passionate about it. He's just sort of like waking up drunk in the bus station and stuff. And I was like, I wish I was waking up drunk in the bus station instead of doing this job that I feel is selling out. So I got a little lift from that song, and I think that helped me sort of connect with the whole album. So yeah, to keep it short, Welcome Interstate Managers by Fountains of Wayne.
I see one in the chat right now. Down in a Hole posted a top 4. We've got Deftones' White Pony, Down's Nola, Mastodon's Crack the Sky, and Thin Lizzy's Thunder and Lightning. Surprisingly, no Alice in Chains from Down in a Hole.
Well, maybe that's number 5. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe it's implied, right?
That's right. We don't even need to say it. That's right.
Thank you, Dan. Akshay, what do you have for us?
Yeah.
What's your first?
I mean, I was going to go in like in reverse order of like most important to me, but
that can change moment to moment, actually.
it can. In this case, I wanted to kind of go off of the like pop bandwagon and talk about Maroon by Bare Naked Ladies,
Okay.
Canadian pop supergroup. Supergroups is not the right word, but it's Maroon for me is like a trip that I took when I was in high school still to like Ottawa, and I had shoved the album into like 512 megabyte like MP3 player, and
Yeah.
like
Love that
like
Diamond
while there
Rio,
were
baby.
like while there were other songs on that device, it was mostly Maroon. That's all that could fit, and like to me, like they do have like Too Little Too Late, I think achieved
Oh,
some like critical success, right? And like Pinch Me definitely did,
right.
but like for me, Falling for the First Time on that one is like
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
love singing that in karaoke, and the lyrics speak to me in a way of like
Mhm.
I've always been a somewhat anxious person, and like uh, have been very hard on myself when things don't go well, and so that song really particularly like spoke to me about like messing up for the first time, and like well not even for the first time, but like it's great, and like how you're still worth it, man. Like you can do it, don't worry about it. And also Sell is like a weird operatic uh fever dream. It's amazing, I love it. It's a wonderful song. So yeah, a lot of great ones,
My
lot
my
of stand
favorite
out.
are the last two. Helicopters is deeply
Yes,
affecting to
also
me, which is
yes.
a song about how sort of celebrities will come in after a tragedy and do like
Yes.
a charity event and then just sort of be
Hmm.
whisked away to the next charity event. And like
Yep.
the people that went through that chaos don't have the luxury of just jumping on a jet or a helicopter and going away. They still have to deal with the aftermath. And Tonight is the night I fell asleep at the wheel is absolutely
Hmm.
like makes me cry. I love it. It's
That one
super morbid.
that
It
one gives me
is.
chills.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
me
every
too.
time I hear it. Oh.
For
Well,
people that think that Bare Naked Ladies is just 1 week or just Pinch Me and just like hyper clever stuff, they are hyper clever stuff. Those two
Mhm.
songs are so freaking sober. There are several others out there, but yeah, I was really glad. I didn't know you were going to say we haven't talked about what we're saying, but yeah,
We probably should
very.
have talked about this, but hey.
No, no, I'm glad we
yeah.
didn't because
No,
we
no,
get to
no.
talk
This is
about it
fun.
here. But yeah, great
uh
album.
this album's also, I think it featured Ed Robertson a bit more than the earlier work. I don't know, maybe I'm a bit wrong in that, maybe I'm misremembering about it, but like I personally prefer Ed Robinson's like songs, or like the ones that he fronts anyway. I like his voice and the way he sings, but that's just me, that's way subjective.
Hey,
Sorry,
this whole stream is going to be way subjective. We're
sorry,
just gonna
Stephen
we'll
Page
get that on the
fans.
table. And I think we're seeing something that we're going to see kind of throughout this conversation, which is we are going to probably tie these albums to specific moments or specific periods of time in our lives that these albums will take us back to, and whether that's like I don't know how much that sort of like lucky timing impacts whether or not an album sticks with you. Like if you're going through something
Mm,
while like when you were first listening to this album,
yeah,
but that tends to be the case for me.
but like why else would you ask the question if not to hear like these
Right.
cool stories, like the stories that
Right.
make these albums important to you, right? Like
Exactly.
um,
Uh, Dan, what you got next?
Well, I was going to do this in a different order, but now I feel like I want to keep the Bare Naked Ladies train rolling.
all
I was
Let's
right.
go.
caught between two albums. One, very much for the reason of where was I at the time. Uh, it was actually the same time period as the Fountains of Wayne thing. Everything to Everyone by Bare Naked Ladies, I think, is probably their most underrated album. A really amazingly dark song about somebody who dies from a drug overdose. Again, not the stuff that people associate, but I have to go with the Bare Naked
Yeah.
Ladies' first album, which is Gordon, because this
Mm,
was the first album that I heard that was made by people that were sharing the experiences that I had had. It was the first time I had heard songs written about, like, there's a song on that album called Grade 9. It's a very silly thing about going to the high school dance and how awkward you are in ninth grade. And their ninth grade was my ninth grade, right? We're both Gen Xers. I'm about the same age as everybody in Bare Naked Ladies. So it's like going to the dance and wearing a leather tie and thinking you're awesome and having the last song at the dance be Stairway to Heaven, you know, and it is just this absolutely ridiculous thing. And the fact that they went between goofy, silly songs and then these heartbreaking things like Blame It On Me or The Flag, like it just showed this breadth. It felt like it was the first album that I had heard that was written for me, and then I wanted it to be written by me. Like, I was just like, wow, this represents me in a way that no other music I had heard up to that point, because people my age had started to make their own music. So,
Right.
absolutely
Interesting.
still an amazing album, but extremely personal. I was in college when it came out, and I went to college in upstate New York, and Bare Naked Ladies were big in Toronto. Hi, Toy Machine. They were big in Toronto, and then they got through like upstate New York and what they called the Bare Naked Belt, which was northern America's cities, so Buffalo and Syracuse and
didn't know
college
that.
towns, yeah. And so Ithaca became one of those sort of Bare Naked Belt towns. And like my friend said, "Have you heard this album?" And I'm like, "No, I've never even heard of this." And they're like, "It's Bare Naked Ladies." I'm like, "That sounds, rude and disgusting, you know?"
How dare you?
Yeah, and it turns out it's five guys from Canada
Mhm.
who are fully clothed and very clever. So I quickly became obsessed with them. But the beautiful thing was I was building my music journalism career at the time. So when the second album came out, I knew how to get a hold of the record label, and I got myself an interview with Ed and Tyler,
Nice.
which is still up online. I'll find the link while you're doing your thing, Akshay. But
Sure.
yeah, it was like so
That's awesome.
wonderful to be able to talk to them after having this album that hit me so deeply and so personally, and be like, dude, I get it. Now I want to talk to you, and
Right.
I've
That's the
made
perfect
the
time
opportunity
to
to
do
do
that
it.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, Bare Naked Ladies, big influence on me too. But I felt like at the end of the day, I hate to do that cliche where the artist's first album is their best album. I think Maroon is brilliant. I think Stunt is really, really good. I think Everything to Everyone is way underrated. And after that, things
Yeah.
sort of go
Things go
downhill. There were band changes. Stephen Page left the band. They're still sort of on talking terms, but really after the Big Bang Theory theme, everything changed. And there are some amazing songs after that period, but full albums don't seem to gel for me the way that they did during the Steven years.
And I want to just say, things may have changed for you, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who maybe picked up their first Bare Naked Ladies album after those changes,
For sure.
and are like, "This is my favorite thing. This is the thing that I love." You mentioned Elliot. You mentioned Toy Machine SH. That's Elliot Redner of the riffleader.com. Posted his top 5 or a version of it. Looks like we've got Milo Goes to College from The Descendants, Deliverance from Opeth, Agents of Oblivion, just to avoid the Radiohead. And then Tool and Nine Inch Nails. I guess that's a catch-all. Maybe you can't pick between them. And Nine Inch Nails, you were mentioning, I think, when you first heard Bare Naked Ladies, you said something along the lines of, it seemed like it was made just for you.
Yeah, very
Right.
much.
I've had that situation where, like, for the most part, since I started listening to them, every Nine Inch Nails album that has come out seems like it was made for just that right time in my life. Like, it was just the music that I needed right when it came out, which is nice. They didn't
Yeah.
make my list, which I may or may not get to, but I'll talk about that if we get to my stuff. It's more important than we're talking about your favorites. Speaking of which, Akshay,
Yes.
what you got next?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't have another pop like album to go off of, but instead, I want to talk about Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. Let's get
Okay,
into it. They're
let's.
ska,
Yeah,
they're jazz, they're Japanese. They're just there's this they're a group that I discovered uh while on Kazaa and
sure.
uh, way back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And like I listened to this and I was in the jazz band in high school at the time. I was like, whoa, this is jazz, but like different. And like I didn't know what ska was at the time. Like I'm an immigrant kid like that like was assimilating during the 90s and early aughts. So I kind of was just behind the ska wave. But like to me, so the album in particular is Stomping on Downbeat Alley, which is a weird.
Oh, that's a
album.
fun title.
It's a fun
That's a
title.
fun
It's got, I think, so I shared a ska artist with you once, Doug, and you very rudely told me that it wasn't dirty enough. And so this
Wait.
group might not be dirty enough for you in particular. I don't know.
Like dirty,
But
like dirty sounding, like sonically.
we never clarified. I was so offended I kind of stopped talking to you for a bit. But we no, I'm kidding. They are this album in particular has very happy, like upbeat, up tempo songs. They do have a couple of very, I don't know, groovy songs that you could say. Like Soul Growl is very good. It's got like a great like trombone solo and like lead line to it. Call from Rio is one of those like very bright up, like that was my alarm clock like song for a long time. Like that just got me awake and wanting to do stuff. But then it's also, this album in their discography is also where they started to go a bit less, a bit away from like being a ska band and like to being more of like a pop band. There's a couple of songs in here, like I think it's like Canary Song is the translation of the title, but like that one's a bit more like they're trying to get like we're gonna front the singer here and like we're just gonna play behind it. It's like doesn't quite work. The styles don't quite work out in that way, and they've only continued going that direction, much to my chagrin. but like for me, that's why I like this album in particular. It's like the last like one that I liked, really. But like it's got like a bunch of great hits. We know it's all or nothing. We know it's all or nothing. Anyway, it's great. It's
what's the name of the group again?
So the name of the group is Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra, and
Tokyo Ska.
Are there periods in between each of those words? Because the way that you've said it both times, it's
no,
like
I just said
man,
it for
woman,
clarity.
you know, TV,
Tinker Tailor Soldier
I want to run.
Yeah, that's me. That's what I got this time around.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to run through a couple more that I see in the chat right here. Music Nerd 69 says top 5 albums for me currently: "Light Me Up" by The Pretty Reckless, "21st Century Breakdown" by Green Day, "I See Red" by Everybody Loves an Outlaw, "Dirt" Alice in Chains, and "Black Holes and Revelations" by Muse. Also, we've got Mad Al with Jam Compact Snap, Ocean Color Scene, Mosley Shores, and Feeder Singles.
Okay.
Not sure what that is. I'll look for more. But right now we're gonna take a quick break. Actually, it's not gonna be that quick. We're gonna take a few minutes. First, I want to say thank you to Akshay and Dan, who will return towards the later on in the stream. But right now we do have a giveaway. Dan, if you're talking, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
No,
or is
I'm
my
fine.
screen just so far back?
We're miming.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just. Yeah.
Then I think I'm lagging really bad. I'll try to fix that during the break. But right now, I want to go ahead and have our first giveaway of the stream, which is going to be this Ernie Ball prize pack. So if you're watching, please listen to UB Jurassic for instructions on how you can win everything that you hopefully see on your screen right now, which includes 2 sets of guitar strings from Ernie Ball. That's a 6-string set and a 4-string set for your bass, if you've got one, or if you don't, hopefully it'll help you make a friend. You're also going to get a peg winder from Ernie Ball to help you attach those strings and keep them nice and secured. You will also receive a dozen picks from Ernie Ball and 3 Spectrum Plectrum picks from us here at Rocksmith. In addition, you'll receive a variety pack of Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes and a guitar strap from Ernie Ball. Once again, all of that can be yours if you listen to UB Jurassic's instructions in the chat right now. Once again, that is Brian Turner. If you win, we will ship out your prize when we are back in the office. As I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it until I know something else, but we do not know when we'll be back in the office to ship these out. So we're just collecting your information so that we can do that all in one go when we get out there. If you win, you will receive a whisper from UB Jurassic. You will get your name, your shipping address, and your telephone number. And we do need all of that information in order to get your prize to you. So good luck on that raffle. And right now, I'm happy to introduce Derpferdler, who's returning to the stream for a couple more songs. Make sure you follow Derpferdler on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. It's Derpferdler. It's the title of today's stream. All vowels are E's, if that helps you spell it. And we're gonna hang out, listen to him, and then we're gonna see a pre-recorded Dan, and then another raffle after that.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Derpferdler here. You might have seen me on the Rocksmith dev stream before. I was on it back in April, but here I am. I'm back again. I'm going to play 2 more songs for you today. Heaven Knows by The Pretty Reckless and Remedy by Seether. So stick around for that, and thanks for watching.
Exemplary performance.
So that was Heaven Knows by The Pretty Reckless, a very, very fun, groovy, awesome song. Super catchy. It's going to be stuck in my head now for a little bit. It's so good. It's a pretty straightforward song. A lot of it's very repetitive. That's good palm mute practice. The hardest part of the song for me is that little extra section after some choruses where it's like... that took me a lot of practice, and my usual advice from before still applies to this song, where if a song's ever giving you trouble, be sure to go into the riff repeater and slow it down as much as you need to, and eventually things should click if you play something often enough. I used to not be able to do this. I'm still not great at it, but the idea still stands. Outside of that part, it's really, really, really straightforward. It's pretty straightforward the rest of the way. But yeah, that was Heaven Knows by the Pretty Reckless. I love that song. I love this band. They're really good. I recommend listening to their other stuff. They have a couple other songs in Rocksmith too that are definitely worth checking out. So yeah, thank you for watching.
Well, hi, I'm Dan, and hopefully you've been asking yourself, what the hell is that thing? That thing is an EBow. We're back in my toy box, and I'm playing around with some of my guitar toys. The EBow is basically a handheld electromagnet that replaces your pick. It's designed to make your guitar sound much more like a stringed instrument, a bowed instrument, like a cello or a violin, or at least offer that expressiveness, even if it doesn't exactly match the sound. But it does replace your pick. It has two little grooves on the bottom where you rest it over the strings, and you can only play. It's only designed to work with one string at a time, but it creates a magnetic field that then automatically vibrates the string for you. Imagine playing guitar where you only have to do half the work. Your right hand gets a break and just drives this around carefully, because it really will react with different, especially stronger pickups, to create some wild overtones and maybe even distortion and overdrive effects automatically. So, for instance, that's what I was doing. I was just going up and down the G string. As I get closer to the pickup, I'm adding a fuzz tone. But if I pull it back off the pickup, it cleans up a little bit. So where you use it on the guitar is as important as which notes you choose with your left hand. I actually found this because my band, Palette Swap Ninja, was working on a Beatles tribute album called Princess Leia's Stolen Death Star Plans, and we were trying to recreate the sounds from Within You Without You, the famous George Harrison track on that album, and I wanted something that would sort of let me ape the swooping string sections and some of the sitar sounds from that song. And I didn't know how to replicate it, so I took a chance, and I went to the local store, and I found an EBow, and that gave me a pretty close approximation of the sound that I was looking for. So I had to practice that for like a day and a half until I could get it to a place where it was controlled. Very easy to lose control of this because it's sensitive to the distance from the pickup, both in terms of the x-axis and the y-axis. Or I guess that's the z-axis because it's farther away. But you get what I'm saying. If you put it directly over a pickup, it's going to make a terrible sound. Or it's going to make a very loud sound, and maybe that's what you want. But I have to be careful to keep the dynamics in check. It will also create kind of nice overtones for those drone notes. It can be very effective, but it's a very specific effect, and it's a very expensive effect. EBows go for about $100. There are some clones on the market more recently called like infinite sustain devices and things like that. That you might be able to find for a little bit less. But the EBow, as far as I know, is the original, dating back to the 1970s. Very specific tool for when you want a very specific sound, or if you're Greg Studley and you like to play a lot of psychedelic rock. So maybe this belongs in your toy box. I'm keeping it in mind. In the meantime, have fun with the pedals and effects that you have. Don't be afraid to use them wrong. Your sound is in your head, and you're the only one that can get it out. So until next time, have fun. See ya.
And welcome back. Thank you to Dan Amrick for showing off that Evo. I love those sounds. And to Derpferdler for Heaven Knows from the Pretty Reckless. Those Pretty Reckless songs, as you mentioned, they're all incredibly fun hard rock riff songs to play. Love it. Right now, we are going to have a giveaway of 5 copies of the Zombies song pack on Steam. So if you are in the chat live right now and you want to win one of these 5 copies of the Zombies song pack, please listen to UB Jurassic for your instructions on how you can win. That song pack includes She's Not There, Tell Her No, and Time of the Season. So yeah, if you're in chat, good luck. UB Jurassic will tell you how you can win one of those. And right now we are going to return to Derpferdler for a song from Seether. And after that, more with Akshay and Dan.
Exceptional performance.
So that was Remedy by Seether. Really, really fun, catchy song. I love this band. I'm really happy that they have their music in Rocksmith. One cool thing about songs like this is that it's in a drop tuning, which means you just need one finger to play a power chord. right? So that's pretty nice. It's pretty beginner friendly. It's fun to just hop right into it and learn this song, you know? And that riff is impossibly fun. Like I don't know if it's just because I really like this song, but I just get lost in the groove of it, you know, while I'm playing. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, this song's pretty straightforward. I'm trying to think of all the sections in it. There's the verses. That's good alt picking practice. Like if you can, you should practice like doing an up pick, upstroke on like the blue notes of that riff. Because like it's honestly more comfortable. Because when I used to play this, I used to just do downstrokes for all of them, and that's not too uncomfortable. But it feels more natural to like pick up when you're coming back up. You know what I mean? And that's a good skill to have too. So yeah, the solo's a little like you have to get used to playing like. It's got like that kind of dissonant-y sound. It's kind of cool. Like you bend the other note to like match the higher one. So that's pretty fun to practice. Yeah, if that feels like awkward for you to play, just same advice. Go into riff repeater, slow it down. What else? This pattern shows up a lot more in the rhythm chart. The lead chart has a lot of breaks where it just has this for like texture and whatever. But if you want to really play that pattern a lot and get used to it, it shows up a lot more in the rhythm chart because it's like the backing part. So definitely try that. I did the lead chart for the stream here, but definitely try the rhythm if you want to get better at that. But yeah, that was Remedy by Seether. Not sure what else there is to say. It's really good. The song is so good, man. I love Seether. So thanks for watching. All right, boys.
And welcome back to the live portion of today's Rocksmith developer stream. You just heard some nice crisp playing from Derpferdler with some good insights from him after that. Once again, make sure you follow him on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Derpferdler on all three platforms. That should be linked in the chat. It's also the name of today's stream, so it should be easy to find. I am your host, Doug Lilly. I'm also the community developer on Rocksmith, and with me today, I would like to welcome back our chat guests, Dan Amrick, the Team Scoundrel, and Akshay Balakrishnan, an engineer here at Ubisoft San Francisco. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello.
I say, what did you just?
In what way?
I screwed up because apparently there was more to Derp's video segment. When it went down, I thought it was restarting because of that problem. So yeah, I'm hosed. I don't have a way to,
So
to bring it back. There was apparently an outro, and I didn't know that there was an outro. I thought I had. I'm sorry, Derp.
He said, "Thank you." He said, "Derp, maybe I guess we'll have to have Derp back at some point."
Well, yeah, I guess
so that we can get those words back. So we are talking today about your top 5 favorite albums. Before we get back to you guys, there were a few more that we picked up in the chat. Jean 308's top 5 include Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, Frampton Comes Alive, Rocks by Aerosmith, Miles Davis live in Stockholm, and Thelonious Monk live at the IT Club. We've also got Lisa Rockdock with No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom, the Cardigans' First Band on the Moon, Carly Rae Jep's Carly Rae Jetpack, Emotion. I don't know that.
Just emotion.
You'll have to tell me more. Emotion. It's just emotion. Apparently,
it's just emotion. It just.
I don't know. I'm learning things too. We've got Green Day's Dookie, Metallica. If we can call Load and Reload a double album, I don't see why not. At this point, it's been long enough. We can pair those together. in our sort of historical memory, I think that's just fine. And Keenan 1212, we've got Virtual 11, Virtual XI, 11, Iron Maiden, Dizzy Up the Girl, Goo Goo Dolls, Season of Poison by Shiny Toy Guns, a band that I haven't heard from in a while, but I had a lot of fun with them in the mid-aughts. And Big Iron World, Old Crow Medicine Show, and finally The Color and the Shape. Again, Foo Fighters making a couple of appearances, and there was some discussion in the chat about those. And yeah, so we saw how much time it took to get through 2 albums each for the 2 of you. So right now, we're just going to go for your favorite album of the 5, and then we'll give some time to the last 2. We've been starting with Dan, so let's switch things up. Akshay,
Okay.
let's talk about your
Yeah.
in this moment favorite album.
Favorite album is probably Wolfpack Volmilk.
Okay.
Volmilk is I don't know German. It's whole milk in German. Anyway,
Okay.
Wolfpack is a band that I've like discovered fairly recently and just love the like funk groove that they just consistently put out. It's this album in particular, Volmilk, is I'm gonna say it different every time. This one is like another one where they had a particular style, and then this album was sort of the last album in that style, where it's just 4 of them: guitar, bass, drum, keys, and like they just put out 6 excellent jams, and on that track, and then kind of switched gears after that. I like every single track in this album. I could play it over and over again.
Yep.
Just listen to it. It's great. It Gets Funkier 2 is on there, where they introduce the concept of a sequel song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this different than a what's the word I'm thinking of? You see it in refrain. Is this different than a refrain?
Oh, no, it's different. It's
Okay.
the same sort of like
reprise.
same sort of melody.
Reprise. Thank you.
But like
Thank you.
It Gets Funkier 2 is basically them all on different synths and playing the same sort of groove, but like yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Interesting. I think I heard about them the first time also pretty recently from Travis Kindred. That's where I heard of them, and they keep kind of popping up in my periphery. Like they keep showing up here and there.
They had a Madison Square Garden show not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
It's huge. It's huge.
Well, before everything shut down.
Oh, yeah. Dan.
Yeah,
favorite album.
This is hard
take-backs.
because I really didn't know how to rank these, but instead I'm going to go for the one that probably nobody has ever heard of, in hopes that people might actually go and find it. And it's a band called No More Kings, and the album is called No More Kings. So it's very easy to remember. It's 2 guys that work together under that name. Pete Mitchell is the singer and I think the primary songwriter. It's pop rock about pop culture, but it's very clever and very soulful. One of the songs on that record is basically retells the story of the Karate Kid from Johnny's perspective, who loses the fight.
Okay.
It's called Sweep the Leg. The video for it is epic and actually includes William Zabka in it. But this was what we had mentioned earlier in the show, that sometimes it becomes one of your favorite albums because it reaches you at a time when you need it, and it becomes a comfort tool. I really hated living in Los Angeles, and this is the album that came into my life at that point. Some of the album is very hopeful. Some of the album is very whimsical, and that was a time that I really needed something that was anchoring me at a time when I was very angry at everything. This was the album that cheered me up, and it's still one of my absolute favorite albums. Again, as Akshay said, beginning to end, no bad songs for me. I love every single one of them. Really clever pop songwriting and cute pop rock stuff.
Thank you, Dan. But before we get back to Akshay, I got a couple questions from the chat that I want to get through. Guitar Princess 2 asks, what's Dan and Akshay's favorite tracks on Rocksmith?
Ooh.
So what are a couple songs that you return to time and time again?
Almost like a cliche, Funk 49 by James Gang. That's sort of like my warm-up song. And my favorite song to play is either Toadie's Possum Kingdom and or Maroon 5's what the hell's the name of the Maroon 5 song? Harder to Breathe. Love the chords. It's the chords,
It's so
the chord
fun.
shapes that,
It's
that
so
make me
fun.
so happy to play on that song. So those are my top
Cool.
3.
Yeah. Okay.
Gosh, I have
Akshay,
a top 2, a top
on the
1.
spot.
I did
Man,
3.
I mean, the ones I'm playing recently.
What's a song that I've played before?
I love going back to Bill Withers' "Lovely Day" on the bass track.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's just such a fun
Yes.
bass
Yes.
line to play over and over again. It's great.
Yeah.
Similar line but different genre. Short skirt, long jacket is like, I don't know, maybe that's a basic song to bring up, but like bass track again, love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all those cake songs, the bass paths are
Such a good bass
intense.
pack. Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. And thank you both. Jean Three had a question for me. If there's a guitar in that case, there's actually 2 cases back there.
Whoa.
They're both empty because those guitars are spread about the
Would
house.
you show your guild?
But
There's been a lot of discussion about the guild that's on
oh,
a
oh,
on the
has there?
rack.
Yeah, yeah. Let me switch so I can see
Yeah.
what's in frame and what's not. So this is the guild.
Nice.
I think when we had Brian Turner on the stream, what seems like years ago now,
Yeah.
he talked about I think he got a guitar as sort of a kind of a reward for yourself for getting into Rocksmith. This was my kind of reward to myself for starting to work on Rocksmith. So this is a guild that I got back in the Raleigh area, and I love this guitar. And I shortly before the stay at home all happened, Dan actually fixed the setup for me to work with drop tuning for lower tuning.
Yeah,
So this
that's
is my
your
this
Queens
is
of
my
the
sort of
Stone
like
Age
yeah
guitar.
this is my like C standard to maybe D standard if I want to push it, but D standard sort of where I can use either guitar that I've currently got here and kind of be okay. But I prefer it on here, even though if it makes me a bit nervous to tune that
Yeah.
up to D. Yeah, this is my guild and I love it.
All I
Cool.
did, by the way, if anybody wants to do that, is I did the Pody trick where if you are going down a full note, like if you want to tune to D standard or C standard, go up a gauge in strings. So I did that. I actually took some orphan strings in the office and threw them together into a custom set that seemed like it would work for Doug, and it did. So
Yeah.
I didn't really have to change the neck at all. But you just said you wanted to go down about 2, so I went up about 2 in string gauges.
Yeah.
So
And it worked. It plays great at those. Like D drop C to E flat drop D flat is sort of the sweet spot for it. That's when I feel I have the most control over the sound. But it's so nice in those ranges, and I like playing in the E flat to D terrain. Another question that we had from the chat, if I can remember where I put questions. This one, I'll say this one's for Dan. Jean Thierry also asks, we were talking about drop D tuning because Derpferdler played a song in drop D. So if a song has the guitar tuned to drop D, does that mean the song is in D major?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, usually,
I think it's got a higher chance of being in some sort of D.
yeah, I suppose. I mean, I'm writing a song right now, and I decided to do it in drop D, and it's because the core it's D minor, the saddest of all keys. So yeah, I mean, it's a fair assumption that the song
Sure.
is in D, but it may not be because who knows.
I mean, like in regular tuning, it's like what, E tuning. So
Yeah.
then is it
Yeah.
all
E
songs
standard,
E?
yeah.
Right.
Then?
So I think it lends itself to playing
helps,
D
but-
major, the D scales,
Right.
but not necessarily. It doesn't. It's not
Right.
a certainty for
Right.
sure. All right, we've got 2 more albums each to talk about and 4 minutes to talk about it in.
I was going
Just
to say
kidding.
short
We're gonna go over a
albums.
little bit. Short. Yeah. We're gonna. Okay. What are your top 2 EPs?
My
We're gonna
top 2
switch-
EPs, yeah.
Yeah. No. All right. No. Akshay.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes, I'm starting.
Yeah.
So first one I want to talk about is a group called Fat Freddy's Drop. They
Okay.
are a New Zealand group that I guess you could describe as neo reggae, funk, dub. Like, it's really hard to describe what genre they're in, but they're basically like heavy chill out songs, I guess, that are also a little sad. But the album in particular is Blackbird. That's one that I first got to know them, and therefore it's the best to me. But it's one of those,
Yeah.
another one of those where like I could listen to the whole album like top to bottom and just enjoy it. But if you're interested, look up the title track Blackbird, the Clean the House, and Bones. They're such good songs.
I hope Sony's making a playlist out of these songs that we're talking about. I meant to, but we didn't talk about the albums before the stream, so maybe next week I'll do this. Maybe somebody else will. Thank you, Akshay. Dan.
So when I was a kid, which was I
Yes.
believe 1943,
Okay.
I would go to the planetarium every Saturday morning, and I still love astronomy and stuff like that. But the warm-up music before the Saturday morning class was always this weird electronic stuff, and I didn't know what it was. And it took me 10 years to find out that what I was listening to was Wendy Carlos, a synth pioneer who did interpretations of Bach. So this is where I fell in love with Bach. So I have to say Wendy Carlos switched on Bach. I don't think the album they played was switched on Bach. I think it was the Well-Tempered Synclavier, because Wendy did 4 big albums of Bach interpretations on Moog synthesizers and early other, like analog synthesizers. So that was a sound that I fell in love with and then didn't find out really what it was for years later. You can now buy a box set. It's called the Switched On box set, which I think is fantastic, which has all 4 of the seminal albums remastered. She's got her tapes back. Like, she's got control of everything herself. So you have to go to wendycarlos.com or wendycarlos.net to order it. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. And it's very, very important. It's still, when I need to focus, when I need to work, and when I'm stressed, and when I'm freaked out, or if I'm having a bad day, Baroque goes on, and it usually starts with the Wendy Carlos stuff.
All right. Yeah, I did not get the Switched On box set when I just read it.
Yeah, Switched On box set. It's
Akshay.
Yeah. So the last one might be my favorite. Is The Darkness, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back. The second album from that group. It annoys me a lot that everybody only knows The Darkness from I Believe in a Thing Called Love. And I just wish they could have listened to the rest of the album, but then also the next album afterward. It's also, I think, this album is probably when they were the most drugged out of their minds. And so you just have a lot of wild, intense energy in like a lot of these songs. And then you have like other ballads that are like actually kind of sad but like really well written, and like I love, like, seemed like a good idea at the time, is like I didn't think I liked slower songs like that, but no, that one turns out they just had to be good. And then, enjoy them.
I like any kind of music as long as it's good.
Yeah, well,
are one of those albums, because I know that The Darkness, I know The Darkness primarily from 2 songs. One, of course, Do You Believe in a Thing Called Love? 2, they did a cover, a weirdly haunting, and it's sort of like you have to hear it to believe it, cover of Street Spirit Fade Out by Radiohead.
I don't know that I've ever heard that one. That's okay.
Check it out. Listen, give it a listen. It's worth a listen.
Weird.
It might not be for everyone. I enjoy it immensely.
Okay. Good to know.
And Dan, I think you've got one left, one album.
I do, which is difficult because I have to leave out a whole bunch of favorites. It occurs to me that you mentioned Darkness doing a Radiohead cover. One of my favorite things is Ben Folds doing a Darkness cover. Get Your Hands Off of My Woman.
Really?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think that's probably a future show, is let's talk about favorite covers. But
yeah.
So I could have said OK Go, because the first 2 albums of OK Go are just absolutely awesome to me. They Might Be Giants, Flood was very important to me. Van Halen 1984, very important to me. I didn't mention any Beatles, because Beatles, it's like, I have 5 favorite Beatles albums. It is almost impossible. It's a bit of a cop-out, but it's also true. I'm going with Billy Joel's Glass Houses for a very specific reason, because I listened to that when it was 9. My sister is 2.5 years older than me. It was her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Denise. You're older than me. This was my rock awakening. That's what I always think of this is.
Okay.
There's always some album that you remember when you were a kid and you're like, that makes me like music. And, up to that point, I had only heard what my parents, put in front of me. They liked Mantovani and 101 Strings, a lot of easy listening elevator music and stuff like that. And I just didn't like that stuff. It didn't sound cool to me. So I'm 9 years old and I hear You May Be Right. and I hear All for Lena, which I still think is his best song that people don't know, and it's on that record. He had like 4 or 5 hits off of that record. That was single number 5 that didn't get airplay. So yeah, that was the one that made me go, I like pop music. I can make my own choices. This connects with me. It was Billy Joel leaving the 70s singer-songwriter thing and getting into new wave. And people were like, he's a trend chaser, but he actually did some really cool stuff by incorporating a new wave sound. It's a very guitar-heavy album, which is no coincidence as to why it wound up being one of my favorites. So he's known as a piano guy. He decides, I can do what the Cars are doing. I can do what Blondie is doing, and doing it from like a New York perspective. I just love it. So
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Dan and Akshay.
Yeah. Whew, we got through it.
I guess we got through it. It's just after 4. I guess I'm not gonna talk a lot about him, but I figure I got him here. I might as well.
hey,
go through a
Doug,
few
do you
mine.
have any
Excuse
favorite
me.
albums?
Sorry, I think you clipped
A
out
little
there.
bit, but that's okay.
Doug, do
let
you
me
have
just
any
reach
favorite
back here.
albums?
Don't mind me. I do. Now I only have. There's one. Oh, there it is. I hid it from myself. Okay. So
Doug's secret album stash, always lurking in the back of every shot.
These first couple of may be a little bit contentious, just because I know that amongst their fan bases, they're sort of seen as not the best. But again, this is part due to the album itself, part due to the time that it came out. But Queens of the Stone Age, Era Vulgaris, my favorite Queens of the Stone Age album. I will admit, probably not their best album, but for me, I listened to it for a year that I had a 40-minute commute that I was driving on to a job that I hated and did not want to go to. So this is how I got my head
Got themes on these favorite albums.
out of not being at that job. This Hail to the Thief, Radiohead.
Nice, yeah.
This was the Radiohead album that came out while I was working college radio. That's really probably all I have to say. It was to my great shame, the first Radiohead album, like full album that I got into. Both of these, not a song that I would skip. Love every song. Era Vulgaris and Hail to the Thief. Violent Femmes, self-titled debut album. Again, every song's a banger.
Do you like American music?
I love American music. Dan. Yeah, this came out, I think the year. Yeah, this is a year younger than me. 1982 acoustic punk. It was great. And
I was
then,
11.
let's see, is that-
I've
think
been
I-
refraining from commenting on how old I was when these came out. Keep going.
and then I got. Run the Jewels.
Oh man. See, I stayed within like rock and like funk and jazz and stuff, and like, man, no name
reason
telephone.
to do that.
That's bonus album.
Yeah,
there you go.
No. What? No Name Telephone is your bonus album.
No Name is the artist. Telephone is like a very introspective rap about the state of being community, the importance of community. That's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No problem. No problem at all. My fifth album I don't have on vinyl just yet. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, No More Shall We Part. It was the first Nick Cave album that I got. Spent a summer with it and fell in love with the album. That's my top 5 at this moment. Ask me again next week. It'll probably be 5 completely different albums. But that's what I got. Let me check the chat one more time, make sure I don't have any last minute questions in the queue. And it looks like I think we are all set. Oh, no. I have one more list to read off. A couple weeks ago, we had Rubber Dave on to play some songs, and we've got a top 5 from Rubber Dave. Metallica's Ride the Lightning, Offspring Smash, Pantera, Cowboys from Hell, Dragon Force, Inhuman Rampage, and Kill to This, Deviate. Oh, and one more question. Just got in from Lisa Rockduck. Have we discussed album order and how important it is or isn't for a concept nowadays? We haven't.
You touched on it at the beginning of the show.
I think album order and just the concept of listening to an intentionally kind of curated and selected group of songs. I think we're getting with most modern players and streaming services. you will get a lot of compilations, a lot of playlists, basically.
Yeah.
But those are usually done through automation. But I think, yeah, we haven't discussed the importance of song order, and I don't know if I have anything smart to say about it. But I know it used to be, and probably still, if you're making albums, it's vitally important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm in the middle of doing a project called Hero Falls, herofalls.com. There's my plug. And I had originally intended to release that as like a 5-song EP or a series of 5-song EPs. And I was very concerned about what songs went where, and then a friend talked me out of it and said, that's not how people listen to music today. They listen in single serving. And if you want to get people to pay attention to you, you got to give them something new like every month. So just drop a new track every month. And so that's what I've been doing. So I feel like the whole thing is just like a blizzard. Like, who knows what I'm throwing out next? But I had originally thought about this project in terms of a discrete order and which things should flow into another for mood or for theme. And I feel like I've robbed myself of the ability to do that. And seeing as how very few people seem to care at all about my project anyway, I should have just done it the way that I wanted to do it, and people are going to ignore it either way, you know. So, yeah, I think that I like the idea of an album being an
At least they can
experience.
ignore on your terms.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. Nobody cares, but nobody cares but me. Okay, yeah. I like the fact that I approach albums as an experience, so I do take the track order as sacred. And I have seen, in fact, when Everything to Everyone by Bare Naked Ladies came with some bonus videos, and one of them was them sitting around a picnic table, and they just shot the discussion of what order the songs should be in and which songs needed to get cut from the album. Which was amazing because it was one of those ones where the song that they started the recording sessions with and really built the whole concept of that album around got cut and became a B-side. So yeah, I think it's still very important. It's not how everybody consumes music anymore, but I still really appreciate it, and I still approach things. Tell me a story for 45 minutes.
I try to. Yeah, if it's there, I will consume it as such, if I can. I think it's very hard to define what good album order is, but it's very easy to spot it when it's bad.
Well, listen to Hero Falls in order, and that will pretty much define bad. In order of release.
I guess that you want to naturally, like, you don't want to notice the order of the album, right? It's like a good weight stuff. You don't necessarily. I don't know. That's a weird comparison. That's a weird kind of dated comparison.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just it's yeah. If you notice the album order, it's probably because it's weird. But you want those peaks and valleys. You want the whole thing to sort of take you on a narrative. You want the album to take you on a story. You want each song to take you on a smaller story, and you want a solo to take you on a little micro story.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Has like a extended like deluxe edition, and I actually don't like listening to that one because it has extra songs at the end and like some bonus stuff, and it's like I want to listen to it all at once, and it kind of takes me out of it. So anyway.
Right. I was listening to NoFX a few weeks ago, and I saw that they have like album commentary tracks, which I wish more bands did. So they just have like it's just Fat Mike talking about the songs, and you can, I guess, listen to it while you're listening to the songs or after. I don't know. I wish I had that because I watch DVD commentaries or Blu-ray commentaries, movie commentaries, and I would love to hear the insights from more bands about like what's going on in the song, why they've made certain decisions, why it is where it is in the album. I think that would if anybody is listening who's making albums, I would love to hear how you made the decisions that you made.
Spotify does have a bunch of those. I have noticed that a lot of albums that I'll listen to or that I'll scroll through, where there'll be the album and then there's the commentary version of the album, which is exactly what you're talking about, Doug. So maybe dig around some of your favorite artists and see if they're on Spotify. You might be surprised. It's not common, but it's becoming something that I see more often, and I go, that's cool. Once you have the emotional connection with that album, then you just want to know more. It's same with like a commentary on a movie. Like, okay, I really appreciate this. Now I want to love it more, and I would love it more if I could understand your creative decisions.
Yeah. Zygo Z in the chat asks, would you want those done at release or done as a 10 years later reflection type thing? That's a great question. I feel like I feel like retrospective is probably the way to go, because the artists may be too in the moment when the album first comes out. They may be too attached to it. They might not look at it as sort of subjectively. And two, who knows when the album first comes out if you're going to care.
I would actually argue the opposite, because the
Really?
ideas
Yeah.
are freshest in your mind when you've been making it. I actually took notes during Princess Leia's Stolen Death Star plans, and we released that as
Yeah.
a PDF, like a little making of. And when I went back and edited that and laid it out with Kat, I was like, I forgot that. Like, I was glad I had written it down in the moment, because what you're going to get 10 years later is nostalgia. And we've seen commentary tracks from DVD people where they go, this was a great scene. Like, they have no idea what they were thinking at the time. They
That's all
just
they
go,
got.
yeah,
That's all they can say
everybody
about it.
loves this scene, or they made a T-shirt out of this scene, which is not insightful, you know. Whereas if you go, yeah, that's my part.
Based on those songs, right?
So-
Like that has happened in the 10 years. Like, oh, when we performed it at such and such, this is great. And it's like, well, but
But
that's not
but what was it like at the genesis of it all? And really, only by recording it at that time do you get like, well, for better or worse, this is what it is. You don't know if anybody's
Right.
going to get emotionally invested in it, but you are, so you should talk about it then.
Right. Okay, that's the fair point, and I think you're right, and
I
I
rest
was
my
wrong,
case.
and I'm okay with admitting that.
No further questions,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
finally time to talk about
well, I think it's
Smash
finally
Mouth.
what.
Astro Lounge. Let's get
Go
into
on.
it.
Let's do it.
Somebody
That-
once
Supposed to be,
told
that's
me.
where you're supposed to cut me off as a goof. That's like,
All right,
no,
well, we've gone well off the rails, and it is time now to conclude the stream. Thank you, Akshay. Thank
Yeah,
you,
great.
Dan, for being here and talking about some of your favorite albums with me today. This is really fun. Hopefully, it's fun for everybody in the chat. We do have one more raffle, but before that, farewell, Akshay and Dan. We will hopefully see you very soon. But everybody who's here right now, I know you've been waiting for it. Here's your chance to win our second Ernie Ball prize pack of the day. So if you please check in your chat, you should see some instructions from UB Jurassic to tell you how you can win this Ernie Ball prize pack with everything that is now on your screen. If you win, you're going to get the 2 sets of guitar strings from Ernie Ball. You're going to get a dozen picks plus 3 bonus picks from us here at Rocksmith. You are going to receive a black Ernie Ball guitar strap, a package of Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes, and a peg winder. All of that will be yours once we are back in the studio and able to ship those out. If you win, you're going to get a whisper from UB Jurassic one more time. That is Brian Turner in North Carolina. Thank you very much for your help today. Brian will whisper you to get your name, your shipping address, and your telephone number, all of which we do need to get your prize to you. So good luck in the chat. And thank you one more time to Derpferdler for giving us those wonderful performances and great insights into playing. And again, just crisp. It's just so nice. We will see everyone else next week. Thank you very much for being here. And we will,